Hey, how are we all doing, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So this video is going to be a little bit different than usual, and the ingredient that I want to talk about today is kind of a grey area for a lot of people. Whether you've only dabbled in pre-workouts or you use them on a regular basis, you've probably heard of something called DMHA. The problem is it goes by so many different names, it can be difficult to know what you're getting. And when you do find DMHA in a product, what exactly does it do? So today I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview really of what exactly DMHA is, how it works, and whether it's worth using this ingredient. So what exactly is DMHA? Well, it was originally used as a nasal decongestant. In more recent times, it's been a very popular addition to pre-workouts and fat burners. It's actually a very potent psychoactive central nervous system stimulant. DMHA stands for dimethylhexylamine. You'll also see this listed under various other names, the most common of which is arguably 2-amino-isoheptane. If the company or product wants to be more specific about the source of DMHA, so whether that's natural or synthetic, natural forms may be listed under the name 2-amino-5-methylheptane, while synthetic versions could be listed as 2-amino-6-methylheptane. You might have also heard of drugs called DMBA and DMAA. Now, DMBA is dimethylbutylamine, DMAA is 1,3-dimethylmelamine, also called methylhexanamine. Of the two, DMAA is arguably the more well-known. This is something which I'll cover in its own separate video, but DMAA was originally created in 1948, and it was marketed as a nasal decongestant until it was voluntarily removed in the 1980s. Now, very small amounts of DMAA can be found in some geranium plants, but most forms which you will find in supplements are synthetic. Here are the chemical structures of all three. So you've got dimethylbutylamine or DMBA at the top, and then the two more well-known, which are DMHA and DMAA. DMHA does have some similarities with DMAA, but it's only 80% as strong, and in my personal opinion, the experience is very different. If I was going to summarize it for you, I would say that DMAA is like a very intense energy, along with a crazy combination of anxiety and rage. Personally, I'm not keen on that at all. My experience with DMHA is like that very same intense energy, but this time you've got a massive euphoric hit as well, so there's a lot of mood elevation. This is all to do with the way that DMHA affects neurotransmitters like dopamine and noradrenaline. It's also got a really good bronchodilation element to it as well, so it can really open up the airways and help with breathing. And it can also help with fat burning and appetite suppression as well. Now, as you will find with many stimulants which have got a bronchodilation effect, they can also cause vasoconstriction. So we're talking about the closing down and the narrowing, the constriction of blood vessels. For me, that's why it's always a good idea to have extra ingredients in there like citrulline for improved blood flow. Just to briefly also touch upon my experience with DMBA, so dimethylbutylamine, I would say this is somewhere between the other two, leaning a little bit more towards the anxiety and agitation that I got with DMAA. All three of these stimulants that we've looked at, they all have a very similar half-life of between 9 and 12 hours. Now, you heard me mention earlier about the natural sources of DMHA, which may be listed under the name 2-amino-5-methylheptane. These are typically a bit more expensive to use than synthetic versions because many of the natural sources only contain relatively small amounts of DMHA. This might also be listed under the name of the natural source. So starting with the most popular, Juglans regia is walnut. A little bit less common is Kigelia africana, which is sausage tree extract. Biophytum root you might find in some products, and even more rarely, Persian leaf extract. Obviously, there are other natural sources of DMHA, but these are the four main ones that you will find. The difference in terms of experience between natural and synthetic DMHA is also very clear in my opinion. Natural DMHA to me feels a little bit stronger and much more of a clean energy than synthetic. One thing that I've found with natural forms, it's still possible to get a little bit of an energy crash, but it's a lot smoother than when I've used synthetic. Obviously, there are then additional ingredients which you can put into a formula to either reduce or completely prevent the energy crash. One other ingredient which I feel is worth a mention is dimethylethanolamine, because it's another ingredient which you will find with a similar 4-letter abbreviation, DMAE. This leads a lot of people to ask if it's better or worse than DMHA or DMAA. Realistically, it's very different, and I wouldn't even put it in the same category. It does have a very mild stimulatory effect on the central nervous system, but it's nothing compared to DMHA, DMAA, or even caffeine. DMAE is actually an organic compound which can be found in things like fatty fish, so we're talking salmon, sardines and anchovies. It's also created in the human body, and it basically increases your production of acetylcholine. Now this is a neurotransmitter which is responsible for helping nerve cells to send signals. For that reason, you will often find it in nootropic formulas or focus-based pre-workouts. From my experience, if I was going to compare the stimulant effects of it to something else, it would be theobromine. It's like a very smooth energy and focus, like when you wake up feeling fresh after a good sleep. Finally, dosages. This very much depends on the source of DMHA and the strength of the extract. You might find this as low as 50 or 100 milligrams, but I've seen it go all the way up to like 400 milligrams, sometimes more. It is also possible to find 2 or more sources in the same product. I'm always very cautious about using new supplements containing DMHA, as they can all hit very differently. I tend to start out at the lower end and then work my way up to the full serving as I get more of a feel for the product. And with that, we're going to wrap up. I hope you found this video helpful. I know some of the information out there can be a little bit hit and miss when it comes to these kind of subjects, so hopefully this has given you a little bit of a better understanding. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video.